We've got a 2-week mini-series coming at you. It's called Living in Reverse. And so maybe this is just going to be fun for me. You know, I've said it a couple times, it's going to be fun. Maybe it's just going to be fun for me because I get to preach 2 weeks in a row, and you guys are just going to have to endure it. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you guys are so sweet. I love y'all. But we're going to be leaning in to the book of Ecclesiastes. Oh, yeah. Now, this book has been viewed as a bit of a strange book in the Bible because it's hard to read and it's hard to understand. And it all kind of, sums up in that it's kind of feels hopeless. Like when you're reading it, it feels like it's a hopeless book. Like, is there anything good that I can glean from the book of Ecclesiastes? However, there absolutely is, because this book is packed with wisdom all about life, all about how to live life. Have you ever felt like life has no meaning? Maybe sometimes it feels like you're constantly working and you're constantly pushing and striving and chasing after something only to feel like you never actually arrive, right? It's kind of sometimes how it feels. Life sometimes feels like you're running on a treadmill. Now, for treadmill runner people in here, you like a good treadmill? Good for you. A walking track, I am happy for you. But you know what? Every time I've ever stepped foot on a treadmill at the gym or something, I'm like, I'm like going really hard. I'm pushing really hard. I'm almost done, but where am I almost done with? I'm nowhere further, right? I haven't moved forward at all. And you tell yourself, oh, go 5 more minutes. You're almost there. Where? Where are you? No matter how fast or how long that you run, even in life, you feel like, man, am I ever going to arrive? Will I ever get forward? Will I ever be able to achieve something? I feel like I'm in the exact same place that I started. Maybe life feels like this, and over and over and over again, time and time again, it feels like I'm never going to arrive, and there's just no reward. But instead, those who receive the reward are the ones that have no character or integrity. And you see them time and time again step over somebody to get where they're going. And it feels like they have everything. And we have nothing. Life is hard sometimes. Well, this is what the book of Ecclesiastes is all about. Now, most scholars believe that the book of Ecclesiastes was written by the wisest man who ever lived. And he's the one who wrote it. We believe that it's King Solomon. But he only refers to himself in the book as the teacher. And the teacher talks about how life will not necessarily work out how you expect it to. Well, I'm going to as we go through this message, we're going to read a lot of Ecclesiastes, but here's just a few pieces of it I just wanted to share with you in the first couple chapters, all right? It said that in Ecclesiastes 1:15, it says, what is crooked cannot be straightened. Ooh. In Ecclesiastes 1:18, it says, with much wisdom comes much sorrow. In Ecclesiastes 2:14, it says, the wise have eyes in their heads, while the fools walk in the darkness. But I have come to realize that the same fate overtakes them both. You know what? The teacher is not very encouraging. Ecclesiastes seems hopeless. It seems like it's going to be a kind of a drag to get through. He's not very encouraging, but you know what? We all have a dream, really, about how one day our life will look. How one day we will get to something. Maybe we think one day I'm going to run my own company. Or I'm going to build my own dream house. Or I'm going to get a degree at that job, and I know once I get the degree and the job, I'll be happy. We think that with success will also come accolades and achievements and purpose of life, and that it will just begin to overflow in our life when we just get to the next place. But we've come to find out that that's just not true, because maybe we've owned our own company and it was okay, but it was hard. And maybe we built that dream house and it made us happy for a little while until we wanted more. Or maybe I got that degree and that job that I wanted, but it just doesn't feel like I thought it would feel. So today we're going to start in Ecclesiastes, and we're going to talk about 4 things. 4 things we can learn from the book of Ecclesiastes. And the first thing that we can learn is we can learn that everything is temporary. Ecclesiastes 1:1-3 says, "The words of the teacher, son of David, king in Jerusalem, meaningless, meaningless, says the teacher, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. What do people gain from all their labors at which they toil under the sun?" You know, Solomon, the wealthiest, the wisest man who ever lived, he looked back on his life and the pursuits that he had gone after, and he saw them as only a momentary win. It was only a momentary win. Life, man, it's full of constant change, isn't it? Things are always changing, and no matter how hard or how tight we hold on to something, it doesn't last. Moments, circumstances, possessions, time moves forward, and everything is temporary. Everything that we feel like we want to last doesn't last. And if we can understand this truth, if we can understand that we can't hold on to everything forever, that it is only temporary, then we'll be able to navigate this life's highs and lows with wisdom. And that's what this book is all about. It's about wisdom. In Matthew 6:19-20, it says, "Don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourself treasures in heaven." Now, possessions, wealth, status, achievements, we've already said this. They can all disappear. They are temporary. They will not last. They can be gone in an instant. And according to research, studies suggest that over 80% of consumer products are thrown away within their first year of being bought. First year of being bought, 80% will be thrown away. Electronics, fast fashion, that's all a part of the study. And you know what? That toy that you thought your kid just had to have for Christmas, 80% are discarded within the first year. They either lose interest and would rather play with the box, right? They just had to have it. We just had to have it for them. Things that we think we need that will fulfill us only fulfill for a moment. Have you ever built a sandcastle? Maybe with your kids at the beach. Man, super fun, super sweet, right? Maybe you've spent hours with your kiddos building towers and making walls and perfecting every detail of the moat. Now, let me tell you, I'm not good at sandcastles, but I can dig a mean moat. Like, you know how big you need it? I got you. Let me dig. To your kiddo, in that moment, it feels like a masterpiece, right? It feels like everything they've ever wanted to accomplish. It feels like something that will stand forever. But you know that when the sun sets and the tide rolls in, that it's going to wash over those towers. It's going to knock down those walls. That moat's going to disappear because the sand's all going to come together. Our lives can sometimes be like the sandcastle. We are building it. We're spending days building it and building it. Our careers, our reputations, our wealth. But eventually, what happens? The tide comes and washes it all away. Everything is temporary. Number one, everything is temporary. Number two, we can also learn in Ecclesiastes that nothing can satisfy. Nothing can satisfy. One of the biggest themes in Ecclesiastes and in life is this idea that we can spend our entire life striving but never truly arrive at being fulfilled. Ecclesiastes 1:8 says, "All things are full of weariness. A man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing." You know what? We are wired to crave more. That's just what we want. We want more. We want to see more. We want to do more. Howard Hughes was an American aviation pioneer. He was a movie producer, a business guru, and at the height of his success, he was self-made, and he was a billionaire. He had a fortune in aviation and films and real estate. And he achieved feats like breaking airspeed records and producing hit films and controlling vast companies, yet he was constantly striving for more. More wealth, more success, more recognition, more experiences. And despite having everything that we would ever consider as a pinnacle of success, Hughes' life became increasingly marked by a desire for more control and more things and more perfection. In the latter years of his life, he became reclusive and he was hidden away in hotels, avoided any form of human contact. He spent his days in dark, windowless rooms, obsessed with his ideas. And as his physical and his mental health declined, Hugh's incredible wealth and accomplishments, they seemed less and less significant. Despite having everything he could have ever wanted, and even more than others could ever anticipate, his unrelenting craving for more led him to his deathbed. So when we think that once we reach a certain place in life, we attain something that we've always worked for, I'll finally feel complete. As soon as I get that, as soon as I grasp that, as soon as I put my hand around it, I'll be complete. But what really happens? Are we really satisfied? No. What happens? We find ourselves setting a new goal, moving the benchmark and saying, if only I could do this now. If only I could just get that next promotion, I'd feel successful. If only I could buy another house, a bigger house, I'd be happy. If only people would recognize my work talents, then I would feel valued. And we get those things, and we get those things, and we get those things, and we're never satisfied. We keep moving the goal forward one more time. Now, let me tell you, goals are not bad. Goals are good. Goals are good for growth, and they're good for improvement. But what is your end goal, and who is it for? What are you trying to attain? Is it for you? Is it so people will see you, recognize you, lift you up, or is it for God? For His glory. If it's for you, when will enough ever be enough? In Ecclesiastes 2:10-11, it says, I denied myself nothing my eyes desired. I refused my heart no pleasure. My heart took delight in all my labor, and this was a reward for my toil. Yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Sorry about that. If success and pleasure and wealth were the answers, Solomon would have been the most fulfilled man in all the earth. He would have had everything that he ever needed because he had wealth, he had provision, he had everything. He would have wrote, do all you can, as much as you can, for as long as you can, because then you'll be happy. Then you'll be satisfied. Yet he confesses that even after having everything, even after having all that he wanted, it was still like chasing the wind. Always reaching, but never fully grabbing hold of it. So we can learn that in Ecclesiastes that everything is temporary, nothing satisfies. And number 3, no one controls time. No one controls time. Now, have you ever been in a hurry and you have hoped for something specific at a certain time and in your timing? Yes. Right? Every person in this room has probably had a moment where you've said, I need this to happen at this time, Lord, and during this season, okay? Okay. Right? We've all been there. We've all said that. We've all wanted that. But no one controls time except for God. Now, let's just talk about traffic lights for a minute. How many of you would say we need them? Yeah, we need them. We've all been stuck at John Jones in Wilshire with no light before. And it's chaos. So we need stoplights. We need lights. But let's specifically talk about the traffic lights on 174. Right? What happens at a stoplight? You're stuck, right? You can't go anywhere. And you're making time and you're going down the road and then boom, you hit a red light. And then boom, you hit another red light. And then boom, you're on 174. So of course you hit another red light. It's frustrating, right? Now, some of you might say, Amber, you just got to get in the light pattern. If you know the light pattern, you'll be fine. I haven't figured it out yet. But what about the times that you're hitting nothing but green lights? Everything's flowing. You're thinking, I figured out the light pattern. Feels like you're right where you're supposed to be in the exact right timing. But wait, because there's also yellow lights. And those are the times where you have to decide, do I slow down and wait, or do I push ahead and risk it? You're going to hit another red light. Life is a lot like those traffic lights, right? Green light times, when everything seems to be moving forward, there's blessing and there's opportunity and there's joy, and you feel like everything's going like it's supposed to go. Then there's the red light seasons when everything feels stuck and there's setbacks and you have to wait and you feel uncertain. Then there's the yellow light seasons where you have to decide to make the decision whether I push forward or I hold back. No matter what season you're in, you're moving forward, you're waiting, or you're pushing forward or you're holding back, you cannot control time. You can't control the season that you're in. You can't control getting out of it faster or staying in it longer. We wish we could slow down time when life is good. We wish that we could speed it up when it's painful. But God, He's not bound by time. He's the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. And while we rush, He waits. While we worry, He is steady. When we fear the future, He is the God who creates and controls all time. So maybe the question is, how do I control time and how much time do I have left? But maybe the question is, what am I doing with the time I've been given? Because we can't control the seasons. We can't control what seasons of life we're in. But we can learn to trust the one who is in control. And we can remember that no season lasts forever. But God's faithfulness does. We can't escape seasons, but we can rest in God's hands as He leads us through them. So number one, we're learning through Ecclesiastes that everything is temporary. Nothing can satisfy. No one controls time. And number four, everyone dies. Now I say this, not to make light of it and not as a joke, even though my face said something different. We say it because it's true, right? It's real. Everybody has lost someone. Everybody has been in a season of deep hurt and grieving and pain. Ecclesiastes 9:2-3, it says, all share a common destiny. The righteous and the wicked, the good and the bad, the clean and the unclean, those who offer sacrifices and those who do not. As it is with good, so with the sinful. As it is with those who take oaths, so with those who are afraid to take them. This is evil in everything that happens under the sun. The same destiny overtakes all. The hearts of people, moreover, are full of evil, and there is madness in their hearts while they live, and afterward they join the dead. Wow, again, thanks, King Solomon. Way to bring us down in Ecclesiastes. Everyone dies. No matter how successful or wise or wealthy you are, death will come. Death will come to us all. And because we die, we should look at the eternal investments that we're making, the eternal investments that we're making in our lives. Like being at a graveside and being at a service and looking at the tombstones, right? Each one has a birth date and a death date. And in between those two dates is a dash. And that dash represents an entire lifetime. Every joy and every struggle and every relationship and every decision. Hebrews 9:27 says, it's appointed for man to die once, and after that comes judgment. No one can escape it. No one can control when it happens. The only thing we can control is what that dash looks like in between. Your legacy isn't about how long you live, but how well you live. It's not about how long you live. Your legacy is about how well you live. So that finally gets to our key thought today. I'm just barely getting started. Just kidding. Here's the key thought for today. If we chase after the wrong things, we'll arrive at the wrong destination. If we chase after the wrong things, we're going to arrive at the wrong destination. So what is it that you're working for? What are you pressing on towards? What are you moving towards and looking ahead to? Maybe you're saying, I know what I've been pressing on to, and it's not leading me to the right destination. I've got my mind mixed up in things of this world. I've got my ideas mixed up in things of this world and not godly, biblical understanding of all of God and who he is. I'm going in the wrong direction. How do I change my perspective? How do I stop looking and striving for the things I want in this world and then instead put my eyes on God and what he has for me? How do I do that? How do I start living in reverse? You do it like this. You stop striving and you start surrendering. We stop striving and we start surrendering. What do you have that you're holding on to with a closed fist? What are you going after so hard that once I get it, it's mine and mine alone? It's for me and my family, and I have a closed fist around it. I'm striving for the wrong reasons. I'm going to start surrendering the things that the Lord is blessing me with. How do we do that? 2 ways real quick. Number one, we recognize what's valuable. In Matthew, again in Matthew 16, 19 through 20, it says this. Y'all read it while I take a drink. I'm just kidding. It says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth where moths and vermin destroy and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven where moths and vermin do not destroy and where thieves do not break in and steal. We've already talked about how material things are temporary, things that don't last, things that don't satisfy. What are the things we're chasing after? What are the things that we want that are ours that we think we need to take a hold of? Expensive houses, designer clothes, the latest technology, none of it lasts. Now, is it nice to have nice things? 100%. Is it okay to have nice things? Yes. But we can evaluate. The nice things that I have, are they to build my kingdom here on earth, or are they to build God's kingdom? Are they to build my reputation and make me look good? Or the nice things that I have, am I using them for the kingdom and to propel people towards him and his love for them? His kingdom, not my own. What's valuable to you? What's valuable? We've got to recognize what's valuable. Am I climbing the corporate ladder for myself? Am I gaining all the social media followers for myself? Am I gaining popularity for myself, or do I want to push people towards Jesus? What does my platform look like? What am I saying in things that I post? Am I living for likes and validation and opinions of others? These are things that will only satisfy for a moment. Stop. Take inventory of what's valuable in your life. That sandcastle that you were building with your kids at the beach, that sandcastle wasn't the thing that was valuable. That time on the beach with your kiddo was valuable. The moments that you spent pouring into them, building with them, loving them, encouraging them, laughing with them. Have you ever walked through a garage sale or a thrift store? Now, I know I have a friend, Cynthia, who is a pro thrifter. Yeah. I would categorize my daughter Addie as a pro thrifter. I could tell you some of the things that she brings home, and I'm like, how did you find this for this month? I don't get it. Okay. Anyways. Maybe you're thrifting or at a garage sale, right? And you notice tables that are filled with old TVs, and you look around and you see these old TVs and you think, man, I remember how much that TV was back in the day. Or just 2 years ago. And now it's $10, barely worth anything. This is how life works. The things that we once thought were priceless eventually will lose their value. What is valuable? Ecclesiastes 2:11 again says, yet when I surveyed all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless, a chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Now there are things that will never lose their value. Take inventory. What are you chasing after? Recognize its value. Spend more time doing that. Spend more time doing the things that are valuable. Are you investing in what lasts, or clinging to the things that will one day just end up in a garage sale or a thrift store? Are you living like every other person in this world, or are you living in reverse of this world? So how do we start living in reverse? We recognize what's valuable. Number 2, we recall eternity daily. We think about God and his goodness daily. We think about what he has for us daily. We think about his love and his purpose in our life every day. We are surrounded by a culture that tells us opposite. We are surrounded by a world that says, live your life, don't worry about the spiritual things, just be. But we've got to recall every single day the goodness of God. We've got to recall eternity every day. In Psalm 19:20, it says, teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Live today as if it is shaping your eternity. What are you doing now that will impact how you do spend eternity? The relationships that you invest in, those will outlast. Every decision that we make with integrity and with character at work, with honesty and excellence, that glorifies God. That will last in eternity. We can strive to be generous. We can strive to forgive the grudges. Those are things we strive for, things that shape our eternity. Our perspective needs to be on heaven. Because here's the thing. We sometimes forget to think about God. We forget to think about who he is and what he's done for us. We forget to think and thank him for the things he's given us and the provision that he's poured out on us. We forget to think about those things. But he never stops thinking about us. You are on his heart every day, every moment. You need him in an instant, he is there. When's the last time you called out to him? When's the last time you said, Lord, I need you? Or even just, Lord, thank you. The gratefulness in your heart. When's the last time? Our perspective needs to be on heaven. James 4:14, it reminds us, you are a mist that appears for a little time and then vanishes. We can remember that life is short, and then we will be with Jesus. And then we will be in eternity. Your life is but a moment. What do we get to do with this dash that the Lord has given us? What do we get to do with this life that he's entrusted to us? How are we going to navigate it with wisdom? As we go about our life, we can remember one day our dash will be complete. What will that story tell? Will we live for the temporary, or will we live for eternity? Ecclesiastes teaches us life without God is empty. And I don't want to live an empty life. No matter how hard you try, no matter how much you do, if God is not the center, if Jesus is not the center, it won't matter. It won't satisfy. What does your dash look like? Thank you for joining us online today. Make sure and hit subscribe to this channel and hit the bell for more notifications. We can't wait to engage with you this week.